Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. This time we are joined by Last Word on Spurs, Ricky Sachs, YouTube and Sky Sports royalty these days, Ricky. Ricky, we're in a final. How you doing? You well?
I'm good, thanks, Sav. I'm good. Yeah, just been what a crazy season, right? I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like, I know for a lot of us, we can't even have looked at the league table for the last, I'd say 7, 8, 9 months since it's been in alphabetical order. It's been bad, hasn't it? So it hasn't really got any improvement really from the start. So it is a crazy, crazy season. But look, we've got a cup final to try and look forward to, which hopefully would be a lovely way to end what has been such a painful season for a lot of us out there. I know, again, for your likes of yourself, me, a lot of, again, the people out there that do provide content to the Spurs fan base. We've had a difficult season. It'd be lovely to try and bring some silverware, some positivity to what's been a very difficult season to manage.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, just quickly before we get into the game, I mean, obviously you were on Sky Sports maybe a month or so back, and you were talking about if Ange gets to the final or not, that you still think that he could be going. Do you still, before we get into the game, do you still feel that way now that it is a 90-minute difference between winning and losing? Do you still feel that way, that if Spurs win the Europa League, that Ange Postecoglou, maybe there's a bit too much water under that bridge and he will leave the club?
Well, I have to make you laugh because it's funny, isn't it, how football fans, deviate and change their minds on certain times and occasions. Once we got to the final, and you'll notice this again because we're YouTube, you can look and see recent interaction. I've got a flurry load of comments come through saying, this has aged well, this has gone down well, and I'm thinking...
You're a toxic fan, Ricky.
Yeah.
You're toxic. Yeah.
Everything I feel at that time and to now really hasn't changed in my mind. I think, Nick and Daniel leave. I think I've made my case on that very, very clear in the recent months. I feel there still, in my opinion, needs to be a change in the ownership. I feel like with regards to Ange Postecoglou, we've had, 20 plus defeats across the domestic season. I think it's very hard to just shy away from that or, in any way not trying to address the difficulties that we've had in the Premier League. And I think, look, I'm not trying to disregard the Europa League run that we've had, but if we're going to be very real and very honest, in terms of the teams that we've faced, I think Frankfurt are a decent outfit. But again, Tottenham on their day with their squad, I think you would expect Tottenham to beat Frankfurt over the course of 2 legs. And I must just say, this is not doing down the way Ange has tactically managed us over the previous couple of games against Frankfurt and Bodo Glimt, because I think, credit to him, he has tactically shown an adaptability that I think many of us kind of scratch our heads and think, well, why have we not seen that pragmatism, that level of structure, that level of cohesiveness in the Premier League games? And I just can't understand why we can't marry that up. And I appreciate we're not playing our full strength 11 in the Premier League. And I think we've made it very clear with regards to our recent selections that it is now all on the Europa League. So look, to answer your question, what I would like in a dream scenario, Tottenham win the Europa League and we do wave Ange off into the sunset and we look to bring somebody in that, in my opinion, has got a better tactical acumen, someone with a bit more of a strategic background in terms of working with young players, coaching young players. And to be fair to Ange, look, he's done the job in terms of, coming into the football club, which was in complete disarray when he came here. He has left what I think for many people will be a decent young squad that are winners. And it is now for me to come in and take on a squad that has just hopefully won the Europa League, that are thriving, and that with some decent degree of coaching can actually improve these players over a league campaign, which I think really, as you know, Savva, is the bread and butter. You are judged on your league form rather than just cup runs. But look, the man will go down in the history of Tottenham because he will be, the first manager over 41 years to win a trophy. And for that, he should be applauded.
No, absolutely. Well, let me back on something you just said there. Yes, in the Europa League, we have seen some tactical changes. We have seen him go, I think the word most people would use would be a bit more pragmatic. We stopped the inverted fullbacks. We played a bit more of a back four, midfielders sitting in front. So my question to you is, Ricky, looking forward to the final, still in the Europa League, but with Man United being an English club that we've beaten 3 times, which tactic are we going to see? And how is Ange going to attack this game, knowing that a lot of the creative type players aren't available? So does that force his hand? And are we going to be the pragmatic Spurs, or are we going to be this chaotic Spurs that Man U will love attacking?
It's a great question because I think if you look at the wins we've had against Manchester United across the season, they have been, when we have been, quite all out attacking, quite, with all due respect, gung ho at certain periods in those games. And I just think for this final, there's going to be an element of caginess to it. You've got the two teams that are facing off in 16th and 17th that have both had absolute horrendous domestic seasons. And I think, you know what? I mean, Amorim as well will be slightly cautious, because I think if you look at recent history, and many might poo-poo this, I think Amorim's lost his recent cup finals and has won his recent cup finals. You bring that into the fore of it as well. So I think it will be a cagey affair. And I know it's an old cliche in football, but I do think the first goal is so crucial. I think Tottenham haven't scored in their last 4 cup finals. So look, whilst it's a different set of players and a different manager, I think as fans, unfortunately, that does feed into our concern of the mentality. And I think if we just score first in this final, I think we could win it. My worry is if we don't score first, you know, with it being Manchester United, the heritage of that football club, the heritage of that fan base that are used to winning, even in the most direst of times for the club, when you look at what they've gone through in their recent history with regards to not winning a Premier League, I just feel like the first goal is so crucial in how this game does pan out.
And then in terms of, you know, the news has come out today that Decky is going to be really hit and miss whether he makes it. And let's be fair, he's not been fit and he's not been playing well anyway. Sonny is very 50-50 at the moment. He's going to need some minutes against Villa to get some fitness into his legs. Maddison's missing. Bergvall, is he going to play any part? This is going to have to be I hate to use this word. I sound like one of the really young YouTubers. Is this going to be like, we're just going to have to stink it out? Is this just going to be a horrible, horrible game of football that we're going to have to pack the midfield with the likes of Sarr and Bentancur and Basuma and go long to Richie and Solanke? Is anything else you can see that might happen?
It's hard to know, isn't it? Because again, I think we were discussing this off air. I think there will be certain situations where mind games are being played with relation to players showing up in training, some that are training, some that aren't training. Yeah. I think both clubs won't want to give too much away. And I think we've become apparent now when Ange says it's a knock with a player, it's hard to take that too seriously, because they end up being out for quite a huge amount of time. I mean, the one thing with Decky is that we saw is that when a player goes down, tries to carry on and has to come off, you know, that in itself is a massive concern, because, you know, maybe you could argue it's being precautious, but at the same time, it's a worry. So to answer the question, I don't think it'll be a pretty game of football. This will come down, I think, and it's again a cliche, who wants it more, who needs it more. You know, Tottenham as a club haven't won anything for 17, 18 years. As fans, we need a trophy. Amorim will argue for his Manchester United squad and what he's trying to build there. They need a trophy. So I do think it will simply come down to the match winners on the day. I know Gary Neville has said that for him. You know, he looks at the Tottenham squad and he would pick every single player of Tottenham over Manchester United. I think, again, you look at the worry that for United, no matter what you make about their form, their manager, their players, if Bruno Fernandes turns up and has a great game, if Casemiro turns up and has a great game, they have got match winners in that squad. They've got players that have got over the line in previous occasions, previous times, under different managers, different clubs. Tottenham as a squad, with all due respect, you know, whilst Romero's there as a World Cup winner, you know, again, for what he's done with Argentina, we haven't got too many winners in there. And we're just going to, in my opinion, need every Tottenham player to have a real 8, 9 out of 10 performance, and hope United players in general are going to have a real off day.
No, absolutely. And look, just to round it off, I suppose, look, you know, you mentioned Bruno Fernandes there, and I think that he is the one standout player for me from both teams. If we're going to be brutally honest, this is the guy that he's one of those. I hate him as an opposition player. I'd love him if he was on my team. I saw a stat the other day that something like 90% of Man United's goals are he's involved. Like it's going to be massive stopping him, isn't it? But like you said, he's got over the line before. Maguire's got over the line. Casemiro's won about 900 Champions Leagues. You know, De Ligt, if he plays, he's a serial winner as well. Mason Mount's won things. You know, they've got winners, but for me, it's Bruno. That's the one we've got to shut out. Do you feel the same? Is he
100%, billion %? I mean, Bruno Fernandes is their key player in that Man United team. He makes them, you know, on their good days, he's the one that makes them tick. He's the one they turn to for a big moment on a big occasion. And again, you have to remember, to United side, that a couple of years ago with the FA Cup, they were really unfavoured going into that against Man City. You know, and it was being
Yep.
weighed against them to win that. And it just feels that, you know, you have that in the back of your mind as a concern. But I do believe that if Tottenham do turn up, can score first. I mean, I can't stress, in my opinion, I might be wrong, how important that first goal is when you consider Tottenham's recent cup final exploits. I know, yes, we won the Carabao
Yep.
Cup when Chelsea went 1-up, but I think, you know, when you look at semi-finals and recent finals with Tottenham, I think the first goal is so crucial to this game. And I just pray and hope Tottenham get it, because I think if Tottenham do get the first goal, then I think I would back us to win. My worry would be if we go a goal down, how do we face that off, you know, with regards to how many times we've been behind this season.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to keep positive, although inside I'm nervous, so nervous.
Well, listen, I'm going to round the shaft with this. 3 quick fire questions, Ricky, and I can't take anything other than a yes or a no here, right? This is,
Okay.
are Tottenham winning the Europa League?
Yes.
And what's the score going to be?
2-1 Spurs in extra time.
If Ange wins the Europa League, is he going to be the manager come the first day of next season in August? Is he going to be the manager next season? Look, come on, Ricky, you've got to commit. Come on.
Yeah, I think he will. Not that I want him to be, but I think he will. I just think, can I just sound this point? I know it's a yes or no question.
No, go for it.
I think it's be very hard if Ange Postecoglou wins the Europa League and you're going to have that parade down the Tottenham High Road and he's lifting the trophy. And some fans change their mind, as we know, they flip-flop all the time. And I've been very clear in my thoughts on Ange Postecoglou. I think he's a lovely man, great guy, but I think tactically wise and footballing wise for where Tottenham want to be, I don't think he's capable. But I think if he wins the Europa League, I think it's going to be very hard for Daniel Levy to sack him. When also, Savva, and again, I know you've had this conversation on your platform as well, there's no obvious, outstanding managerial candidate currently in the frame. And I think that is probably what would give Postecoglou the start to next season, which my concern on that would be, if we start poorly next season, we've just written off the whole of the summer with regards to any transfers that we're bringing in.
So you mean our Ten Hag moment from last summer with Man United?
Yeah,
giving a man 200 plus million, then sacking him 3 months into a season. And the new man, absolutely. I mean, I've just got this little vision really quickly of what you said there is, you know, he does the bus parade and then, cheers, thanks, Ange, can you come into my office? Here's your P45. Last question, yes or no answer. If Ruben Amorim does not win the Europa League, will he be the Man United manager?
I don't mean, well, this is going to come off really disrespectful. If Ruben Amorim, and this again, we might find this is really offensive what I'm going to say, if he loses to Ange Postecoglou in this Europa League final, I'm not saying he's got such a better squad than Ange, but from the season he's had, how can he remain Man United manager? I'd be staggered. I'd be baffled. So to answer your question, yes, I think if he loses the Europa League final to Ange Postecoglou, I think he should be sacked.
Well, there you go, guys. Take Ricky Sachs's word. Put all your money on it. There you go. Spurs are winning the Europa League. Ange will be the manager beginning of next season, and Ruben Amorim will be sacked in that case. Ricky, everyone knows where to find you. If you haven't subscribed, please go over to Last Word on Spurs. Mate, whatever you do, I think you're going to the stadium. Enjoy Wednesday night. Everybody, please subscribe to Ricky. Mate, take care. Thank you very much. And it just leads me to say, come on, you Spurs.